Good afternoon, my friends. I hope you are holding up well. I hope you've had a fantastic day. I've had a great day. Just about an hour ago, I got off a Zoom conference video call with about 100 local leaders here in the Puget Sound area. Had a great time with them, teaching them the 4Gs of thriving through adversity. I did a 3G video just a couple of weeks ago to start this thing off, and I added a fourth G, gardening, of seed planting. Anyway, I've been with you for about 2 weeks now, putting out these daily videos, and my goal is to encourage, educate, inspire, empower you. We've been talking about principles of perspective the last 3 days. I want to wrap up that series within a series today with principles 8, 9, 10, and 11. But yesterday I talked on how to go through adversity and a mindset of positivity through adversity. And I talked about Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor, and I read his book, Man's Search for Meaning. And after I shared that with you, I remembered a quote of his that I forgot to share yesterday that I went back and I just have to add it in today. So this was yesterday. We're talking about positive mindset and developing how to see the good in every situation. And he developed that as an Auschwitz survivor in a prisoner of war camp. Just incredible circumstances. Here's the quote from him, and I want to add on to yesterday and begin today. The one thing you can't take away from me is how I choose to respond to what you do to me. The last of one's freedoms is to choose one's attitude in any given circumstance. They took his name, they took his family, they gave him a number, they treated him like an animal, and he said, I will not allow you to take away from me my freedom of choosing my attitude in any given circumstance. We have a bad circumstance going on right now around the world. No one would pick this, no one wants this, it's terrible, but no one can take away from us how we choose to deal with it. And I said yesterday, we can choose bad, we can choose positive. I prefer positive. It just works. So today we're going to look at principles 8, 9, 10, and 11 of perspective. So in your notes, if you're taking notes, and I encourage you to do so, number 8, reflect instead of react. Reflect instead of react. We have a lot of reacting. A lot of people reacting, fear, news, etc. Let's learn to reflect. A few years ago, about 25 years ago, I was talking with my business mentor, become a wonderful friend now. I was just a young leader, and we're talking about principles of leadership. And I noted this one leader who wasn't leading very well, but he had been in the leadership game for a long time. He was struggling. His business was struggling. And I made the comment that it's surprising me because he has 20 years of experience. And my mentor, much wiser than I, he said, HR, some people have 20 years of experience. Other people have 1 year of experience 20 times. I've never forgotten that. Some people have 20 years of experience. Others have 1 year of experience 20 times. They've never learned. Write this phrase down. Reflection turns experience into insight. Reflection turns experience into insight. If it was just experiences that made us wiser, everybody would be wise because we all have experiences. Reflection, when we sit back, when we think, we contemplate what we could have done better, it turns that experience into insight and into wisdom. One of the things I picked up from the military is this thing called the AAR. I was in the Air Force. I think the Air Force and everybody else got that from the Army. It's the one thing the Army got right. It's the after action review. Just kidding, all my Army friends. The after action review. After we did a mission, after we did an exercise, we'd all come back and we'd review what we did, where we failed, where the mission went wrong, where we hit a home run. And I carried that into my business experience. I've done it after every event, after every talk. After every video here with you, I will wrap this up today and I will sit and think, what could I have said better? What could I have written better? Where did I fumble my words? How could I improve the lighting, the video, all the things I could do better? I've done it after every single one. Insight, A reflection turns experience into insight. Every time I get together with my clients, especially when we get together with our executive group, we ask 4 questions. Number 1, what's going really well? What's going really well in your life? What's going well in your business? Number 2, what can we improve on? What's not going as well that needs attention? What could you improve? What didn't go well this last week? What's not going well in your business? Sit and think about those things. Turn those experiences into insight. What do I need to focus on? It could be the thing that's not going well. It could be something new. I said yesterday or last week that crisis bumps us out of the comfort zone into a creative zone. What needs your attention? What's your next action step? Those are 4 questions of insight, of reflection. What's going well? What's not going well? What needs my focus? What's my next step? If you will sit and think and ask those questions on a regular basis, you're going to take your experiences, you're going to make them better. Okay. Reflect instead of react. Number 9, adversity helps you relate to other people. Bill Gates put out a post last week, and he talked about the 15 or 20 things that he thought good could come out of this. And one of the things he said was, what he's noticed is this virus, and when there's any kind of crisis like this, it kind of puts us all on the same level playing field. We all become human again. And there's not a lot of the rank and stature and position, and rich people get sick, poor people get sick. It kind of brings us to the same level. And it reminded me that success and failure, they go together. They're 2 sides of the same coin. You can't have success without failure. Now, some people have failure, but they don't have success. But you talk to anyone who's successful, and they will tell you about all the times they failed. And those people become relatable. If you're like me, I don't like listening to people who always get it right. They never mess up. They always have the answer. I know it's not true. I hate to admit it, but I was like that as a young leader. When I started my first organization at 28, I thought the position of a leader was you're supposed to have all the answers. You're supposed to get it right all the time. I didn't grow up in a leadership culture, so I didn't know any differently. I thought that's what leadership was, always getting it right. So I put on this fake armor of, and I didn't do it maliciously or intentionally. I just thought that's what a leader was supposed to be, the answer man, the guy who gets it right. And it was so much extra energy of keeping that propped up. And finally, after a while, I was like, I just can't, that's just not real for me. And I'll tell you the truth, when I started sharing my frailties, my faults, my failures, I began to connect with people in a deeper, more authentic and powerful way. And I would say that vulnerability and authenticity has led to the far greater success in my later years. I can't tell you how many mistakes I've made. I've made mistakes hiring people. I've made mistakes firing people. I've fired people all the wrong way. I've interviewed and hired all the wrong way. I've grown my business. Some of the things I tried and did, I just look back and I just laugh. I've tried to scale in the wrong ways. I was driven by the wrong motives. I've made mistakes in marriage. I've made mistakes as a father. I've made mistakes with my family. I've hurt people. I look back at some of the things I've said and done, and I just shake my head. I'll give you a funny example. I was teaching a marriage and parenting workshop one time. There's probably 500 people in the audience. And I was talking about our differences as males as females and just making fun of us and poking fun. And I talked about just how we even go to the bathroom differently. Guys walk into the restroom and just don't talk. You're not supposed to talk. And the guys that don't know the rules, they just drive us crazy. You go in the bathroom, you don't talk. And then I was talking about the ladies, and the ladies will go into the bathroom, and they'll share labor and birth experiences and amazing. And then I made this comment, and ladies all together, they'll like get up and go as a herd. I use the word herd. Ladies will get up as a group and go as a herd to the bathroom. I heard about that. I had so many of my friends just bust me up. H, are you comparing us to large lumbering animals? I still haven't heard the end of that probably 20 years later. That's just a funny example of so many mistakes that I've made. But when we get real with that, and we share, we become more relatable. And that's what adversity does. It helps us all come down to the level of humanity and share our stories. And that just brings just a greater connection. If you haven't looked at Brene Brown's TED Talk on vulnerability, I encourage you to do so. It is powerful. The powerful connection of being authentic with each other and not pretending we have it all together, because we all know we don't. So number 9, adversity helps you relate. And I'm telling you, helping relate and connect with people is good for every area of life, including business. Number 10, the 10th principle on perspective is always look for the big picture. Always look for the big picture. I grew up in a small picture home, a small picture environment. My mom was just trying to exist month to month. I think I lived in 12 different houses from birth to when I graduated. My mom was just trying to survive. We had one vacation my entire childhood. I knew nothing about the bigger outside world. I knew nothing about just a bigger global view. So when I moved out on my own, I was craving a larger world view. And I'm trying to pass that on to my kids. My kids have traveled to Kenya and India and Uganda and Tanzania with me. That's all I'm doing projects. We followed Hurricanes Ike and Katrina to Galveston and New Orleans, working with the population down there, rebuilding homes. We've built all kinds of projects all across Mexico. I wanted to give my kids something I didn't have, and it's a global, big picture, other orientation. Listen, small people have small pictures. They think of themselves, and they shrink the entire magnificent, amazing world down to the size of themselves, and I'm telling you, that's too small of a world. I tried to live a little bit bigger world, and I tried to hand that to my kids. I can remember times in my life where my world was just expanded, when I was given the opportunity to get a bigger picture. I remember one time I traveled back to Chicago, and I went to this conference, and I walked in to a guy doing at a world level what I was beginning to do at just a basic community level, working in countries around the world in projects and helping tribes and humanity in just magnificent ways. And I walk in this huge building, my jaw just agape, thinking this can be done. In one generation, it is possible to change the world. And I remember at that moment, my world just got bigger. My picture got bigger. I remember another time, right after 9/11, the towers came down. Our nation was in mourning. I was listening to John Maxwell give a talk, how he got his family together, piled them in an airplane, flew to New York because he wanted them to see the aftermath and walk the grounds. And I never thought like that. And I remember him talking about that. I never had that kind of concept of finding those moments and building a family history like that, and building something deep. And when he said that, I thought, I want to be like that. And I've been like that more since then. He helped me, and others have helped me just get a bigger picture. Big people have a big picture. Small people have a small picture. I study leaders in history for this very reason. Leaders in history, they help expand my view. Listen, I want to encourage you to hang around big picture people. Hang around big picture people. Avoid small picture people. Here's the truth. Except for one trifling exception, the entire world is comprised of other people. Big picture people know that. When a crisis comes like this, it's easy and natural to gravitate and pull ourselves back to a small picture and come into our cocoon. I want you to think about what you could be doing in the bigger, larger, grander scope of things. Become a big picture person. Okay, number 11. Our 11th point, our 11th principle of perspective, and it's this. Adversity can make us stronger. I want you to think about the principles of going to the gym. Going to the gym, you encounter resistance. That's the point. You lift those weights on the bench press, on the squat rack, and you're forcing your muscles against heavy resistance. And by doing so, you're tearing your muscle fibers, You're going to rebuild them with good food and fuel. You're going to give them rest. They're going to become stronger. Some people think that you actually build muscles in the gym. You don't. In the gym, you actually tear them down. You refuel them, you feed them, rest them, and that's when they grow. The same is true with us. In all this adversity, you need to press against that adversity. It's going to tear us up a little bit. Worry, fear, creativity, insight, big picture. What could I do? How could I reach out? Press against the resistance to be negative, to be fearful, to be worrisome. Press against that. Be creative. Think about how this could impact others. Invest in community, reconnect, push against that. It's going to be hard, but you're building muscles for your future climb. 2 videos ago, I talked about how everything of value is uphill. Right here is where you build the muscles. Adversity helps you get stronger. Push against the resistance. Don't let it overwhelm you. Push against the resistance. Tear up a little bit. Refuel with rest. Ground yourself. Write. Think. Pray. Journal. Feed your soul. Get out in nature. Whatever you need to do. Think. Create. You're going to get stronger and stronger. You have a mountain to climb. Listen, you have a great future in front of you. Begin practicing today the kind of person you want to be on the other side of this. Begin practicing today the kind of person you want to be on the other side of this. So again, thank you for spending time with me. Beginning tomorrow, for 2 days, we're going to look at 7 principles of intentionality. Then we'll close up this week with the PGE cycle. Thank you for joining me. I love investing in leaders because you change the world. You change your family, you change your community, you change the world. You are more important than you think. I love you all. Thanks for joining me. Now go shine.